It's been a quiet week in Storrs, Connecticut, my hometown, out on the edge of the campus. The weather seems to be experiencing a rather complex psychological complex these days. Having convinced us a week or so ago that it's finally become warm for the year, the weather apparently now feels it can fall back on that promise a bit and give us a few days in a row that the vast majority of people in Storrs would classify as chilly or even cold.
"But not as cold as my personality,"
says the grouchy old man. But most of the people of Storrs have been looking forward quite optimistically to the next time the temperature is in the 70s.
"I can't wait till it's the 70s again. I want to wear bell-bottom pants and party and disco all night long. Talk about staying alive."
In fact, there was a middle-aged man, Barry Gibbon, who a few days ago wrote a letter to the planning committee of Storrs suggesting that they think about building a discotheque in Storrs Center.
"Dear Planning Committee of Storrs, I'm writing to suggest that you think about building a discotheque in Storrs Center. If you do not agree with me in thinking it would be highly beneficial for Storrs to have its own discotheque, then you're nuts. Sincerely, Barry Gibbon."
But the chairman of the planning committee, whose name I don't remember, George something, was not amused by Barry Gibbon's letter, and he wrote him back saying,
"Always scribble, 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 eh, Mr. Gibbon?"
And it reminded me of the spring of 1969, back when I was a student at UConn. I was writing an article for my news writing class about tensions that were taking place among professors in the mathematics department, and one day they invited me to a faculty meeting so I could witness for myself what was going on, and the first thing I noticed was two trigonometry professors arguing over who should sign an important grant proposal. One of them, Bob Circumsphere, was saying,
"I should sign it. I wrote it for Pascal's sake."
And the other professor, Dick Hemisfaxis, was saying,
"Well, all right, Bob, I'll grant you the fact that you wrote this proposal. But it was my idea to have a grant proposal in the first place. It's only fair that I should be the one to sign it. And besides, there's more ink in my pen."
And Professors Circumsphere and Hemisfaxis argued for almost 5 minutes before the department head, Harry Pythagorascal, brought the dissent to an end by suggesting,
"Bob, Dick, I have an idea. You're both trigonometry professors. Why don't you co-sign the proposal?"
And so they did, and then the meeting went off on a tangent. Of course, these days, people in Storrs sometimes get confused over even simpler math-related dilemmas. The other day I was in the Dog Lane Cafe.
"Come, sit, stay."
And there was a young man who was managing the counter while the usual bartender, Howard K. Teasdale, was either on lunch break or just chatting with customers. And this young guy, Luke Liamson, was obviously less experienced than Howard K. Teasdale. He was wearing a shirt that said,
"There are 3 types of people in the world. Those who can do math, and those who can't. And those who always have to ruin a joke."
And at one point a customer walked up to the counter and ordered a turkey and artichoke panini, which cost $9.50, and the customer gave Luke Liamson a $10 bill, which led him to pause and consider while saying out loud to himself and to the customer,
Well, normally in this situation, I'd give you a 50-cent coin. Here at the Dog Lane Cafe, we pride ourselves on giving customers 50-cent coins. But at the moment, we seem to be out of 50-cent coins, at least in this register. So I could give you 2 quarters, but that wouldn't be any fun. Or I could see if there's a 50-cent coin in the other register. But that'd be cheating. Wait a minute, I've got it. I mean, most people do insist on calling 50-cent coins $half. So, here you go. Your change is 50 cents.
And he tore a dollar bill in half and gave half of it to the customer, who at this point was quite confused, and in my mother's opinion, justifiably so. Of course, back in the spring of 1969, back when I was a student at UConn, it was even easier for some people to get confused. One evening I went to a lecture about ancient religions. It was being given by a professor named Isaac Abrahams, and at one point Professor Abrahams said,
Now, of course, two of the most famous ancient religions are still being practiced today. There's Taoism, which is practiced mainly by people affiliated with the stick market.
it's supposed to say stock market.
Stock market, I'm very sorry, the stock market.
That was a typo, and that...
Oh, that's good, though.
So, yeah, Taoism,
There's-
stock market.
Pun correction.
Yes, Owen wanted more puns, and he's getting more puns.
I'm sorry.
But
and,
how about that other religion, Professor Abrahams?
And there's Confucianism, which is practiced primarily by quantum physics professors.
And I found myself turning to the kid who was sitting next to me and asking, why is he telling us all these things about religion? And the kid replied simply,
For God's sake.
and that's the news from Storrs, Connecticut, where all the women are strong, all the men are good-looking, and all the screenwriters are above average. This is Lucas, man of many voices, preparing for his screenwriting career, am I right?
Yes, stick market. That's funny.
Yes,
yes, screenwriting.
I didn't even notice that typo, and I usually notice typos, but yeah, journalist who has typos, I don't know.
I read what's ever on the teleprompter, you know?
Yeah, because you never know whether it's a pun or not. It could be an obscure pun.
Exactly.